So, very good morning to all of you. On behalf of the National Law University Delhi, I extend very warm welcome to the participants of the workshop on qualitative methods in legal research with a special focus on FSDI applications. I take this opportunity to extend a very warm welcome to our learned guest and the key spokesperson to this workshop, Professor Dr. Shashikala Gurhu, who is the director of the Symbiosis National Symbiosis School of Law at Pune, and she has kindly agreed.
Advent student from all over India. So don't worry on that.
She has kindly agreed to be with us for this workshop, and of course, our Vice Chancellor, Mr. Ranveer Singh. I also committed his patronage and his encouragement that this university has been doing and organizing a series of workshops right from the beginning, because probably the National Law University Delhi has become the only university not only organizing these workshops regularly, but also encouraging actual research by way of creating the Center for Excellence to do a variety of research. Friends, the idea of imparting formal training to the law academia in the field of legal research is not an isolated development. It is very well thought out, very well conceived, and very well recognized issue to which we have committed ourselves. It has a long history, but of course I think Mr. Ranveer Singh will definitely. But the point remains that this is something out of a realization that not many institutions are imparting any formal training to the law academia in this particular area. And the fact remains that there is not much expertise also in this particular field. So when we started doing this actively from year 2011, and since then I think we have organized around 15 workshops so far, training more than 1,000 people. I'm talking about roughly, but there may be more if I include students and researchers also, but more than 1,000 researchers and senior teachers have undergone different kind of workshop. Then we also realized over the years that the focus of these workshops at NLU Delhi has been changing in two ways. Number one, that we realized that there cannot be a very uniform and straight-jacketed program which can be imparted, because depending on the nature of research, the requirement of research methodology changes. And therefore, last 3 years, we have decided to do in a different way. So twice in a year we organize these workshops from 3 to 5 days. So one workshop would focus on the doctrinal and qualitative aspects of legal research, and other would be the empirical and quantitative workshop. That is the broad classification which we do, because when we started with empirical legal research, and thereafter there were a lot of feedback we received from so many authors that they said that law essentially involve the qualitative content, doctrinal content, and therefore the doctrinal research methodology and qualitative research methodology may be equally important. We are fully in agreement with that. And then again, when we looked at, because initially we thought that it is only empirical legal research which is a crisis. When I looked at the doctrinal legal research, I found it is equally deficient in so many ways. And then I also realized there is not any very structured method. Like you ask anybody, how do you do doctrinal research? You will not be able to give any structured answer or any step-wise answer as far as the methodology that can be used. And then with a lot of research, we structured a proper model whereby we can impart some systematic training into this. And then this is more advanced, the present one is more advanced in the sense that having done all these workshops, even within doctrinal and qualitative research, I again realize that the doctrinal research involving the application of software is something which is completely unheard of. First is, you are not very clear as to what is the doctrinal methodology, then application of software. So lately, we have been using Atlas TI software, which is a very unique tool to explore the doctrinal or textual content of legal material and writing. And there could be fascinating range of methods and ways through which you can, combine, examine this entire content in a very interesting manner. So we thought that since we most of the time get into a lot of case reading, a lot of textual material in the field of law. So what would be the importance of this software application in legal research? This is little advanced engagement. So then twice or thrice we organize with some focus on one session in a doctoral workshop. Then again, last year we did a kind of a study with Gillies Publishing, so where we have analyzed 50 cases on gender issues, where we mapped the gender insensitivities in the expression of the Supreme Court in certain case laws relating to gender issues. And this research has opened up a very interesting, possibility of applying this Atlas TI in a variety of ways. So I decided this time to have a predominant focus on the demonstration of this software and utilization of this particular technique in exploring the legal material. It would be a completely skill-based, idea. So therefore, apart from giving you an overarching idea of doctrinal legal research, we are trying to provide you the more and more focus on Atlas TI application. So from tomorrow, for 1.5 days, Mr. Ajay Gupta, he is a very kind of renowned person as far as this technique is concerned. He will be going to be with us, and he will impart this particular training. And thereafter, we have created some sessions which you can see in this room. This afternoon also we have 2 sessions where we will be dealing with case study method and also the other methodology. So friends, I think lots of questions are there, and probably we can actually engage with some of the exemplification as to how the complex conceptual and abstract concepts in legal theory and jurisprudence, which we use so often in our writing, how they can be brought at the level of research intervention, the quantitative research interventions. This is the idea. So, and probably during this session, you will understand that what is popularly understood in terms of doctrinal research and qualitative research methodology is completely different from what it actually is. So I'll recommend that some of the books and material also will recommend you, so that you can actually see how the understanding in the international arena is going in this direction, how the doctrinal and the qualitative, when I am using 2 words together, I think later on the day we'll classify. When we speak about doctrinal legal research, this expression is typically confined to the legal research only. You will not find this expression happening in other social sciences, because in law mostly we deal with doctrinal methodology because the analysis of doctrine. This research is typically about research in law, and therefore we analyze the doctrine in a historical method and a comparative methods. So it is basically 2 schools of thought are there. One is positivist. Positivists are more and more into the empirical, and other is interpretivist. So interpretative methodology deals with the doctrinal method, like the model which we say that inductive and deductive. Deductive is more about empirical, modeling, and inductive about the the qualitative. Now the other terminology which we are using, qualitative is little broader. And please, they are not synonymous, doctoral and qualitative. Qualitative can be empirical. Qualitative not necessarily will be the doctoral. Qualitative means you are collecting the data through focus group discussion, through intensive interview, through case study, through content analysis, through discourse analysis, through grounded theory. These methodologies are borrowed from social science. So a lot of content in law is qualitative. So if you are exploring them qualitatively, so probably these are very important nuances which we need to understand. And hopefully this workshop is, you will pay serious attention. The requirement of the workshop is simply that you involve yourself, engage with the resource person, and try to discuss some practical researches that you are doing which involves the application of doctoral methodology or qualitative methodology. So probably this will be very helpful. Before I move on, it's a quick round of introduction would be apt at this stage. So you can give your name and your place of affiliation. We can start from. Keep sitting.
I am Dr. Vijay Kumar Singh and I am a professor in UPS School.
Vidyasagar, Research Scholar, TIS Mumbai.
Rohit Ranjan, Research Scholar, TIS Mumbai.
Sai Prasad, Symbiosis Law School, Noida.
I am Shubhaprad Monti. I am working as Research Associate at National Law University.
Next slide.
I am Santosh Upadhyay. I am working as Assistant Professor at Law School.
I am Tanvi Yadav, Research Scholar in Central University of Rajasthan. I am Kunjirani Pradhan. I am a Research Associate cum Teaching Assistant at National Law University of Odisha. I am Yushika Khare, currently serving as Assistant Professor at National Law University of Odisha.
I am Dr. Jane Alkanti. I am a faculty in W profession.
Dr. Kanchi Gupta, Secretary in W Special University.
Sir, I am Amit Vashik. I am a PhD scholar.
Neha Susan, Research Scholar, School of Legal. I am Namrata Batra. I am Assistant Professor at National Law University of Odisha.
And B.B. Sharma, I am IPS from 1990 batch and ADG R&D Police Headquarters.
Good morning, I am Anchit Mathur. I am a practicing lawyer. My name is Teacher Tiwari and I am from Northeastern Greens, Shillong.
I am Manoj Kumar Manji. I am doing job in a trademark registry.
I am Muthu Kumar, working as assistant professor at Christ, Bangalore.
So I am Bosana and I am a Research Scholar.
She is here. Okay.
So Nitish Daniel, PhD student.
They have recently also.
Sir, Devarshi Yadav, I am Research Scholar.
Himanshu Dandaria, I am also a Research Scholar at NMU Delhi.
Sir, I am Kanika Arora. I am a Research Scholar here.
So I am Aditya Gautam and I am a Research Scholar here. So I am Mehak Bajpayee. I am a Research Associate and a Teaching Assistant here at NMU.
I am Bharti Yadav, working as an Assistant Professor of Law at National Law University.
So I am Avinash Krishna Goswami. I am from Amit University, Noida, Pashchim Bengal.
Rupen Singh, Assistant Professor at School of Law at W profession.
Myself, Manisha, PhD Research Scholar at National University, Delhi. Good morning, everyone. This is Samiksha. I am working as an Assistant Professor in Law Faculty, Delhi University.
I am Asha Meena. I am Assistant Professor at MIT University, Mysore.
Myself, Dr. Siddharth Dega. I am Assistant Registrar here at NMU.
Please start.
So I think
quickly introduce yourself.
many more to join very soon, and we have around 35 people.
Why don't you come here?
Yeah, this space is available.
First off, it's not reserved for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then introduce yourself. Round of introduction.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amarendra Sahu. I am a management consultant and I am doing this program essentially because I am inclined to do my PhD in law.
Very good.
So with this, sir, I hand over to Mr. Rashmi. This is a very special day for him also. May I share, sir, it's your birthday today. So we thought that let us wish you also for a very healthy, prosperous time.
Thank you.
And
When people remind you of your birthday,
you are worried.
you are worried. You are closer to retirement.
No?
you're closer to retirement. And most of my work has been probably made very, very simple by Professor Vajpayee. It was almost a W lecture. He has drawn such a beautiful landscape that almost everything about the conference has been discussed. But at the same time, I'm deeply grateful to Jessica, a very old friend, being with us this morning, and also Vajpayee for putting this place. I have two stories to tell you in relation to this program. And the two stories are, one story was when I was a member of the Law Commission of India, the 19th Law Commission. Justice P.V. Reddy was the chairman, and I told him that I'm going to Cornell to attend a meeting of the Free Access to Law program. He said, oh, if you're going to Cornell, you meet Ted Eisenberg. And he sometime came here and probably was talking about, in relation to his work about the research on Supreme Court of India. And I did not take that very seriously, in fact. But when I reached Cornell and I tried to find out where is Ted Eisenberg room, I went to his room. I found an absolutely simple person and the room full of books and journals and what fascinated me, and also I felt very, very bad, in fact. The entire work was on Indian Supreme Court, 90%. And rest of it on Israeli Supreme Court and the Supreme Court of Brazil. I said, what are we doing? I didn't say anything to him. I was just nodding my hand like, very good, as you say. But somewhere I felt very bad. And that we in India are not doing even iota of what this person sitting in Cornell is doing. So probably we should do something. And then he told me that I organize a empirical research workshop every year in different jurisdictions, sometimes twice a year. I requested him that will you find time to come to India sometime. He said, oh, of course I am very fond of India, and anytime you invite me, I'll come. And that's how this started, the research component of this program. And after that it has been now broadened by the industry, and that's really very good. The listener used to come, single-handedly would be here for the whole day, create that workshop, I think he came for the first year, second year, third year. After third year, he also brought his wife with him. And after the program was over, they met me and said, we enjoy this place, we'd like to come more often. And the people are so serious, they are so concerned, they want to know, they want to learn. And after they left, after 3 days, I get a email from wife of Ted Eisenberg that your dear friend is no more. Immediately after he was telling me that I'm going for holidays with my family, he went for holidays, he was going for skiing, and he had a massive heart attack, and he was no more. And we were feeling a great vacuum, and we thought, but anyway, program has to continue. First thing we did was that let us commemorate the memory of that great person. And we named this center as Ted Eisenberg Center and wrote to the family that we cannot do anything else, but at least we can remember him at a time. So this center is known as Ted Eisenberg Center for Empirical Research. That was the story. Right. Second story was that we were sitting with Professor Menon, and he was saying that one problem with the law schools is we have not created a kind of format where we can prepare teachers for tomorrow. Once they join, they do not find any place where they can upgrade their knowledge. So they have to learn more. So then we started talking about, can we create some kind of academy at the university? And we created the National Academy for Law Teachers, which widely mentioned in quite detail. And as I thought we have trained about 600 people, but I'm happy to know that we have trained about 1,000 people. And we will carry on. And apart from these regular workshops which we do, we also do in other subjects. Like, we did, after a long time, one workshop happened in Jaipur and probably Gulbarga in remember in jurisprudence when Ajaypa and Bakshi did that, G.S. Sharma, long back. Then we said, let us also revive that. So last year we did one workshop with the students. This year we are again doing a workshop with junior students. It will be an advanced course. Again, Mr. Bakshi will be all the time. Here is a distinguished professor with us, and nothing like Mr. Bakshi being in a class of junior students. The kind of interface with constitution he will tell you. It's a treat to listen to him, his ideas, and the kind of hard work at this age he does should give a tough time to all of us. So these two things I thought I'd share with you, and that's why we created this institution, because we have so many colleges. I often repeat, 1,600 colleges in this country, 250 law faculties, now 25 law schools going to be, now 23 are already functioning. But faculties are looking for places to upgrade their knowledge. And let me share with you very frankly, being a part of the law school Bangalore and then Hyderabad and now to this place, long journey for me with the law schools. The research has been not a priority with any of the law schools. So we thought we should seriously do something about research. And fortunately for me, I have a very competent team of teachers with me, led by Professor Vajpayee in various centers. A dozen centers we have now, where we have about funding about 50 crores, not from India. Most of the funding is by best of funders from abroad. And if you come to law, if you go around law school at night, maybe in the death penalty center you will find people working at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, like people will work in the scientific labs. Now that's the culture of research we, I thought before we leave, men may come, men may go, but I go on forever. Before we leave, we retire, we leave these places, we thought let us create these cultures of good research, good teaching, and good activities where people can benefit. So it is in this sequence that we started creating these programs. I'm extremely happy. We have a very vibrant, diverse scholars present for the workshop, and it is a tough job for you because the kind of program you have to envision now, you have to satisfy everybody, whether they are coming from law field or they are coming from the administration or management. So, but I'm sure the kind of people we have, such a very competent teacher, and she has been always coming. Without her, no program on this kind is complete. And Vajpayee, of course, knows he can feel your pulse, that what you used to have, and accordingly he can invite scholars. I think my job is done. My job is only this, to welcome the panel and also welcome the faculty, those who have come. Thank you very much for coming to National University.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words. Friends, since this session is a brief inaugural session, after which Shashikala will take over and she will go up to 1 o'clock almost, because she has to leave just after the lunch. So we thought that we should try to utilize her presence as much as possible in the interest of this group. And so will it be alright if you say a few minutes for 5-10 minutes as a kind of your opening remarks, and then we will probably leave this space for you, and whatever way you want to conduct, because the role which we have entrusted her to open the workshop with her profound experience and a very efficient and very effective way of interaction. And I'm sure you must have seen some videos which we have uploaded on the website about her last presentation. I strongly recommend you to look at those. Yeah, I will give you the link also. So whenever I am short of anybody on to speak, I use the video. So this time also I was planning that if she has some engagement, her video will do. But her gracious presence made it.
So far, no problem.
So over to you.
Open resource.
Respected Professor Ranbir Singh was like a father figure to me. Dr. Vajpayee, the pioneer of legal research movement in India in the recast era, in post-Bakshi era, I would say, sir, and all my dear colleagues and friends. Such a pleasure to be with you all, because teaching research is something that is not as a teacher but as a student of research forever, that we do. So last year or in last few occasions, whatever I shared with the earlier generation of scholars also stands valid, because we have something called prior art in patents. Similarly, we have the knowledge being built on the shoulders of masters of the past. So that masters also includes women masters. So this is where no knowledge is out of the blue, out of the dark. It's always built on the existing knowledge. Therefore, I was telling sir that there is no question of copywriting, because there is no question of knowledge being anybody's closely guarded patrimony, because that's how we deprived knowledge in the past. I think National Law School movement intends to make knowledge available to everybody, and I congratulate Delhi National Law School for their initiative in center stage in research. One of the laments we had in the first generation legal reforms was that under the leadership of great stalwarts like Dr. Menon, Dr. Bakshi and also Dr. Singh, we had generations of law schools coming up which were focusing on undergraduate education and training practitioners. So the second generation law reform vision which came was looking at putting Indian research more on indigenous legal experience with the justice system, etc., and on research. So I'm happy that more than all universities in India put together, Delhi National Law School alone is churning out research in terms of evergreen areas such as copyright or intellectual property rights, technology, law interface. These are all evergreen areas. These areas are not going to die. They are only going to change. The focus is only going to change. Secondly, pioneering research in terms of human rights, justice system, especially on the prisoners in the death row. Very, very important research, which has a huge implication for India's international position as well in the human rights arena. I think there is a lot of original research going on, which is like in science, fundamental research, as we say. I think that huge part of that credit goes to Dr. Singh's visionary leadership, the idea of putting the law schools on a new pedestal, and Dr. Vajpayee's stewardship of research agenda. Now, interdisciplinary research is also a very, very important area, which is strongly present in this law school thanks to the leadership of Dr. Vajpayee, who started it much earlier. I think the idea of research workshop was also led by you much before the Cornell professor could talk about it. I remember I returned from the Middle East after my corporate assignment and I received a circular, some kind of notification. So I picked some teachers and I sent them here. And today, if Symbiosis Law School is leading in legal research, that's because of such workshops that you have conducted and the way our faculty have picked up ideas and methodologies. Of course, we do a lot of in-house trainings and workshops. The last point is, sir, I agree with you that there is a huge vacuum in this country about training teachers. Because in law, I think, the moment we have a law degree, we are professionals, we are supposed to practice. We are all, even if there is one lawyer in the vicinity, it's like having a doctor in the vicinity. Everybody forces you to be in the practice of giving legal advice. They come to you to know something. You know, or you ask your students or alumni or your friends and you facilitate solution to the people, because that's what professional orientation teaches us. But what we forgot is the long drawn history of law schools. If you see the evolution of law schools, the very first law school in the world was created out of the need to train apprentices or people to man the office, law officers. So law officers themselves were the trainers of lawyers. From there we have come a long way, because law schools had to be contextualized in universities, which meant that research, creation of knowledge, not just the teaching of skills and knowledge and values and our professional etiquette, etc., which comes by seconding, like how jeweler's son becomes jeweler, etc., in the traditional sense. That was not enough. It had to be contextualized in a knowledge framework. There had to be new knowledge created, which will be the beckoning light for the next generation of learners and lawyers. And law not being confined only to court-based professional practice, law being more and more dispersed into being a very important, I would say, guide to life. Whether it is journalism, whether it is, I'm seeing, there are 50 different legal careers that I was able to map when I was trying to see where our students go. That's what Harvard did when globalization was coming up in non-Western countries. What are the alumni doing in the global space? So I was trying to look at what are our students doing, or my own classmates, my own students in other law schools where I taught earlier in the Mofussil area. I was surprised to see there are 50 different careers where they are spread out and they are making a difference there by virtue of the law degree that they have. This is something that we have ignored, I think, in legal education and in legal research. That's where I thought that, or we feel that there is a need to make legal research more and more dynamic, more and more interdisciplinary, more and more inclusive, not because we want to dilute the law with the knowledge there, but we want to make law more pronounced in every walk of life. We have that duty. We are a very small percentage of professionals compared to a large milieu of India, a country where rule of law behavior is still a far cry. Today it is very interesting, Dr. Bajpayee co-authored article is carried in the Indian Express, right? And a very good article on happiness and law. Now this was something that we were debating before coming here with Dr. Singh's experienced views as well, that how the idea of happiness and the problem that our commoners are battling with in terms of approaching the institutions of justice and the stress that it meets out to people, engaging with any court case. We had in the village the curse that let your house be burnt with civil case or civil suit. So civil suit was considered like a fire, catastrophe to the family, to the human relationship. So sir, that's also an indication of how law needs to be viewed in a broader canvas of meaningfulness and purposefulness of our life. If anybody is making that difference in society, anybody could make that difference, it's the lawyer. Even if doctor is practicing medicine, curing the ills of the society, that ill comes only in a symptomatic way. The root cause lies in the stress, in the concept of deprived justice, pain that society, people in the society are harboring. If law works efficiently with the research input that multiple researchers bring in, and if that is implemented, I think right to happiness, or the idea of happiness and utopia, is very, very near to everybody. So we researchers have a large role to play in the society. It's not only as lawyers but as researchers, because it is only research which can update law, which can make it more, the dead letter of the law can become more humane, and it can speak and connect to life, it can become alive only with research, because human life changes, human being changes. Human being is a dynamic entity. If there is anything organic, that is human being in this whole scheme of things, not the institutions but the personnel. So if human beings can change, institutions are bound to change. If institutions are bound to change, law ought to change. So my major focus today, after mapping the doctrinal researchers landscape, is going to be on law reform research, because that is where I got to learn from stalwarts like Dr. Singh on the Law Commission or senior judges, etc. But I have my criticism about judges leading law reform. It should come from academics and competent researchers. So I hope many of you will contribute to that future for this country and for the humanity. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity. I think I am very young compared to your experience or in research and sir's position in the legal academic world, the commitment as a super glue. So there is a lot that I can learn from each and every one.